There are some love stories that move slowly, quietly, almost like they've been waiting for the right moment to bloom. For Sandara Park and Jung Il Woo, that moment might finally be here. After nearly 18 years of friendship, speculation, and subtle signs, the two Korean stars are making headlines in 2025, not just for their careers, but for their hearts. What started as a connection in the early 2000s has grown into something far deeper. And now, fans around the world are asking, is it finally official? Let's take a journey through their timeline, from their very first meeting to the emotional confirmation that's shaking up the entertainment world. It was 2006. Sandara Park, also known as Dara, had just returned from the Philippines, where she had built a successful career as an actress and singer. Though she was already a star abroad, she was starting fresh in Korea, hopeful but uncertain. Jung Il Woo, meanwhile, was just beginning to make waves as a rising actor. He had recently appeared in the sitcom High Kick, which launched his career and made him one of the most talked about new faces in the industry. The two met through mutual friends, quietly, without media attention. At the time, neither of them was a global icon. They were simply two young artists navigating fame, uncertainty, and youth. Those early days were filled with long conversations, shared meals, and quiet support. And while romance wasn't in the headlines yet, those close to them say the connection was instant. As the years passed, their careers exploded. Dara became a household name with 2NE1, one of the most iconic girl groups in K-pop history. She stood out for her visuals, her charm, and her effortlessly cool image. 2NE1's rise to fame was fast and powerful, global tours, sold-out arenas, and a legacy that still lives on. Jung Il Woo, on the other hand, built his name through dramas like The Return of Iljami, 49 Days, and Cinderella and the Four Knights. He became known for his emotional depth, expressive eyes, and quiet strength on screen. Despite their growing fame, the two stayed in touch. They weren't seen together often, but whenever they were, fans noticed how natural they seemed. No awkwardness, no performance, just two people who genuinely enjoyed each other's company. Still, in an industry as secretive as Korean entertainment, their bond flew under the radar for years. Between 2012 and 2018, subtle signs began to appear. They were spotted at the same cafes, attending the same art shows, and even posting vague captions online around the same dates. Fans, especially those who had followed them since the beginning, began putting the pieces together. In one interview in 2015, when asked about his ideal type, Jung Il Woo smiled and said, "Someone who has a bright energy, who is cheerful and strong, someone I can be myself with." Many fans immediately thought of Dara, and when Sandara was asked about dating, she often replied with a laugh, saying, "I'm not alone. I have someone I talk to." But she never gave names, never confirmed. Still, the chemistry was undeniable, even if it was hidden. In 2021, during a low-key online variety show, Jung Il Woo was asked about his long-standing friendships in the industry. Without hesitation, he said, "There's one friend I've known for nearly 15 years. She's always been there." The host didn't press, but fans knew. They always knew. And in 2023, something changed. Sandara Park released her solo album, a major moment for her, stepping out on her own after 2NE1. At the album showcase, fans were shocked to see Jung Il Woo sitting quietly in the back row, not as a celebrity, but as a supporter. He didn't speak to the press. He didn't take photos. He just watched. Dara mentioned nothing during the show. But later, during a live stream with fans, someone asked, "Was Il Woo there today?" She paused, smiled softly, and said, "Yes, he's always there." That moment went viral. Then came 2025, the year everything changed. In March, photos were released by a popular Korean tabloid showing Sandara Park and Jung Il Woo on what looked like a private trip to Jeju Island. They weren't hiding, but they weren't putting on a show either. They were simply walking, side by side, sharing coffee, laughing under their masks, and looking peaceful. Immediately, rumors spread. Were they dating? Were they just friends? Neither agency responded at first. But the fans, especially those who had followed them for nearly 2 decades, knew something was different this time. Then in June 2025, during a guest appearance on a healing talk show, Jung Il Woo was asked, "Is there someone special in your life now?" He didn't dodge the question. He simply said, "Yes, there has been for a long time. And now, we're not hiding anymore." The internet exploded. Shortly after, Sandara Park posted a photo on her personal Instagram, a soft black and white image of two hands holding, resting on a table. No caption, no tags, just a moment. And that was enough. For many fans, this wasn't just a celebrity relationship reveal. It was the end, or maybe the beginning, of a love story 18 years in the making. In a world where quick romances often steal the spotlight, Sandara Park and Jung Il will represent something rare: patience, friendship, trust, and timing. They didn't rush. They didn't announce. They didn't perform their relationship for the cameras. Instead, they chose to grow quietly until the moment felt right. Now, in 2025, with both stars in their 30s and thriving in their careers, they are finally ready to share what they've built, not with noise, but with grace. While marriage hasn't been confirmed, sources close to both stars say they're serious, committed, and at peace. Neither is rushing to hold a press conference. There are no drama contracts or reality shows riding on their romance. Instead, they're focused on the work and each other. Sandara is expected to release her second solo project later this year, and Jung Il Woo is currently filming a period drama for TVN, set to premiere this winter. But fans are no longer watching just their careers. They're watching a couple who waited and chose each other again and again, quietly, behind the scenes. After 18 years, Sandara Park and Jung Il Woo finally made it official. But maybe what's most beautiful about their story is not the ending, but the journey. A love that grew out of friendship. A bond built without cameras. A story that took nearly 2 decades, but still feels like just the beginning. Because sometimes the best love stories aren't rushed. They're patient. They're quiet. And when they're ready, they bloom. This is K-Drama Cycle, where the love stories never end. Be sure to like, subscribe, and tell us in the comments, did you always believe Sandara and Jung Il Woo would end up together?